Hey, you made it. Welcome to another episode of Block Party. I'm Issa Rae.
And I'm Prentice Penny. And before we get into everything, we got to address the response we got from you dropping about Achilles' dick in episode 4.
Apparently, I'm a snitch.
Yeah. If people don't know, Issa made a comment that the best dick in your life is usually not the dick you end up with, correct?
Yeah, yes, more or less. And we were talking about the context of Daniel, but yes,
Yes.
I said that women do not settle down with the best dick of their life because usually that is associated with an ain't shit dude.
Right,
for
right.
the most part. They're not as well-rounded everywhere else. And I didn't think that I was saying anything that other people don't know. I know that men also, there's literally a phrase like, what is it? Someone you can bring home to your mama. Like,
Right,
I feel like
yes.
that's the same type of shit. You're not just, bringing hoes home and like wifing up women that you don't respect. And I think that is the same. Your Achilles dick is not the person that you ultimately want to settle down with. And, there are other attributes in a good marriage that you should be looking for. I said nothing controversial. I stand on it.
No, I don't think it was controversial, but women were like, why is Issa out here giving away the secret?
Because men have like fragile egos. So I understand my sisters. I'm so sorry. Sisters, please, like, hear me out. I fucked up. But like men, yeah, because I didn't think about how men are like, ain't no way I'm not. Like, my girl's satisfied. So be competitive. Like, if you're not with a competitive man, if your man hears that and he's competitive, you got the right one. Also, I'm sorry, because some of these men are going to try to prove it to you. And that's going to be rough.
Well,
for
my
you.
wife says I am both.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let my delusion rock and just let it be. But
Good answer.
But it was funny because it was one of those things that I think we tried to do in our show, which is say something that is a truth. And
we said it in the room.
Yeah,
These are, I think that we let people in on the conversations that we would actually have in the room. I think a lot of this also sparked conversation because, we haven't had in a very long time a show where you can like spark these conversations that are about Black relationships. And it made me, it had me starting to think about just like the shows that raised us and the shows that influenced Insecure, where we could last remember when we were having these deep conversations. So this is right on time. It leads into our episode today, which is presented by Gatorade Lower Sugar. And we want to kind of talk about the canon of Black television and the shows that influenced Insecure, specifically season 1.
Yes, definitely shows from like A Different World to Martin to Girlfriends. And it feels nice to know that our show is also a part of this legacy now.
Yeah. Before we get into the discussion, I'm curious, what defines a Black TV show? Like, there's the obvious part where there are Black characters on screen. Does it also have to be written by a Black person? Does it have to have a writers from Black people? Does it have to be scripted? What is a Black TV show?
I think a Black creator has to be involved, right?
Black creator has to be involved.
I definitely think so. Obviously, back in the day, that wasn't always the case, right? So I'm going to give a couple of things that I think it has to hit these buckets, right?
Okay, so Norman Lear's shows are out.
No. I'm going to say the other buckets. So I think primarily, hopefully, a Black creator is involved in that.
Okay.
I think Black actors obviously being involved in it, and I think it has to be talking about the culture of Blackness in some form or fashion, right? Otherwise, it's just kind of like whatever, right? So I think most shows that have a primary Black cast, I would say, is a Black show. Now, what they dive into, like Norman Lear, obviously it was that, but also it was diving into things that were about Black culture, a certain kind of Black life that was exploring those ideas, right? And so I think for me, it has to hit some of those buckets. And obviously now we're able to do more things that we are the creators of those things that we weren't back in the day. But I think that's, to me, what defines it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that sentiment. I also think, there are Black reality shows or shows that are loved by Black people that I still adopt as Black shows, I might say. Like right now, Housewives feels like no matter what it is a Black show and franchise, because I feel like Atlanta made it super popular for Black audiences.
Like, would you call The Wire a Black television show?
Yeah, that's hard. Yes.
It's interesting.
Because of what you defined it as. Like, it doesn't hit all the buckets. but it's definitely like it's set in Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's centered around a specific set of issues that affects Black people in Baltimore, and even, you know, nationally. Like there's more than one there's more than one drug kind of epidemic across the states. And I think that there's just like, there were also like very specific Black jokes in that show. Even though it was a drama, like there are archetypes where you're like, oh, I know that's my uncle, that is a cousin, that is like the boy that wants to be, you know, a kingpin. So like there's certain elements where I'm like, okay, I feel like it depicted Black culture, and he had a lot of consultants on on that show. So yeah, would you consider it that?
I would consider The Wire a Black show. Yeah.
Now I can articulate it. There's certain things where I feel like we adopt things that are on the outskirts, and there's gay culture, there's LGBT culture, and I feel like shows like RuPaul's Drag Race, and this is more on the unscripted side, shows like America's Top Model, those feel like our shows, and it feels like we overlap in taste and sense of humor, in a way. And so shows that aren't necessarily made for us, we adopt.
Well, I think that speaks to how we move in general, right? Like if we come into a space, we're going to find a way to make it unapologetically ours too. So I think that's 100%.
And respect those who make spaces unapologetically theirs, except for white people.
And we'll get more to that after the break. So one of the things that we would always talk about in the room, would talk about shows that shaped us, right? And the shows that would inspire us in terms of what we wanted to do, or sometimes not what we wanted to do. Like, do you remember some of the ones we would talk about in the beginning of the first season?
You brought up one of the Norman Lear shows. I want to say it was Good Times, Jeffersons. And I remember that was the first time that we had our like age difference thing, because you were so mad that I was like, oh, I've never seen an episode. Do you remember what show it was specifically?
I want to say it might have been the Jeffersons.
It was probably the Jeffersons. I think it was the Jeffersons. I've never seen this. And you were like, you've never seen the Jeffersons? What the hell? And that's when I started calling you old, because you were like, you were so surprised that I hadn't seen it. And that just wasn't my time. But then a few years later, it happened to me where someone hadn't seen a show that I loved in the 90s. And I was like, what the fuck? We're not even that far apart in age.
Yeah, that's
so
how
I got
it feels.
I got my karma back. I feel like I hit you after that moment. But no, we would talk about all types of Black shows, all the shows that we watched growing up. And, you know, we brought up LA shows. We brought up, of course, Girlfriends, because you came from the room. We brought up The Game. And like for me, I kept on trying to think about the shows that were Black that were set in LA, just to make sure that we were differentiating ourselves from them, which I knew we would be doing, but that also we were adding to kind of the conversation of it. And, you know, Moesha was set in LA, Girlfriends was set in LA. But I remember just talking about just trying to be our own and stand on our own 2 feet. And we were so tonally different. We were going to be tonally different from shows. And even in the pilot, I can remember turning the pilot in and interviewing other writers. And one of the writers was just like, I feel like they're not, a couple of writers were just like, I feel like they're not a lot of jokes on the page. And that reminded me of kind of sitcom storytelling, where every conversation is a joke. And for us, I knew we wanted to be a bit more realistic in terms of like how people talk. And of course, wanting to be a funny show, but not necessarily relying on the dum-dum, joke telling of other shows.
Yeah, I remember that obviously being a big part. I remember us referencing Moesha probably a fair amount, because it was about a specific kind of Black girl that lives in a specific kind of neighborhood, similar to where our characters were growing up in LA, right? And playing in a similar like Lamert Park space, right? And obviously, you know, like many years apart in terms of when we're making the show. But even Moesha would have obviously moments that would feel dramatic to a teen audience, right? And I remember us being like, oh, how can we find things to play with in the tone of that it doesn't have to be, like you said, joke, but being like, oh, can we play in spaces that get a little bit more serious? Can we play in spaces that are obviously a little bit more dramatic? And obviously we did more of that as the season went on. But I remember even talking about movies like Love and Basketball.
Without a doubt.
You know, certainly being a part of that type of world and feel of being in LA, in that neighborhood, in the way that Gina made that movie.
And even South Central. I know that I brought up South Central in the room because I remember specifically like having those episodes on tape and being devastated coming back to the States of just like, oh, it's canceled? Like, I was watching this in Senegal. I loved it. I need to know what happened. But that was also so differently shot. Like, it's a sitcom, but it was about real issues.
It was, yeah.
And it was like sad and depressing, and then they would have be able to switch tones. It was, I feel like, ahead of its time.
I think that was Ralph Farquhar.
That was, yeah. And I feel like Gina and Mara met on that show, if I'm not mistaken.
They did. It's so interesting because I think what people don't always understand is like your writing tree. And I was at somewhere not too long ago where Mara was being honored, and Ralph was there, and Gina was there too, and they were talking about how they had met on that show. And you don't always know the branches that are going to come off your tree, and it's really beautiful to think, oh, the branch between like Ralph, that you like that show, that he hired Mara hired me, we worked well, obviously like Sarah Finney, like from Moesha, and like just all and again, and how that repays itself, because then when Mara was doing the game, she hired Sarah. So there's like a beautiful thing. And even on our show, like I was able to work on Girlfriends with Regina Hicks. And then I was able to bring Regina on our show. And then she did the Upshaws on Netflix. And so you just see like, and she hired like one of our writer's assistants, Nicole. These shows that shape us start to get into. And I remember even like knowing who Larry was from Bernie Mac and being like, you know, and for you to work with him and for me to work with him, like all those, like you don't always understand how the things that inspire you, then you're going to be working with those people or being connected to those people that I think Black TV specifically has in a totally different way that I think like mainstream television has.
And you made me think of, even within that tree, each writer, I would say, or each show creator tried something different that ultimately would lead back to us. When I think about, I just mentioned the South Central and the tonal difference of like balancing comedy and drama, even though that didn't get to last for a couple of seasons, and made an impression on me. You mentioned Larry. When I think about the Bernie Mac show, he kind of innovated the single camera family show in a way that obviously we are a single camera show. Like all these people, Mara, and being able to like via the game, switching from a half hour to an hour, which is I think why people would come to for us so much. They were like, the game did it, so why can't y'all be an hour-long show now? And so like even thinking about what they were able to do there and the social conversations, like that was a huge part of our show. So all of these things, like we're standing on the shoulders of so many of the shows that came before us, and the decisions and the bravery that each of these showrunners had just to like try to make something different and fresh and new.
And that's what I think you don't always realize is like, while Black TV and stuff feels big, it's actually pretty small. Everybody's you're very connected. You know, it almost feels like a real Black family. Like you're like, oh, I can get to my cousin so and so who you know what I mean? It just feels very like nobody's that many degrees removed away from each other, obviously.
Yeah. But don't tell that to Black parents who are just like, hit up, go on and hit up Tyler, just write him a letter. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. I can't just get into the TV.
Well, sometimes you write people a letter and it works out.
That's true. That is true. Okay. My auntie was right. Yeah, it worked out.
First off, I'd love to know, do you have a favorite Black sitcom? And is your favorite Black character also in that sitcom? Or do you have a character on a sitcom that are separate from each other?
No, it's all different. It's such a hard question because it fluctuates depending on my mood. Like I credit Moesha to the first time I felt seen and like I can aspire to someone that wasn't a child. It just came in my life at the right time, and it was cool, and it mixed like my love of music. And
how close were you two?
Not that close. I was in middle school when Moesha came out.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was like, oh, this about to be my high school. You was about to be on me, just like they on Moesha. I'm gonna find a Q. Like I was just, I was
toxic
excited.
dick. I'm gonna find some toxic
dick. Q was not toxic.
Q was definitely toxic.
Just from New York, or was he from the Bronx? He was just an East Coast nigga. But I would say like of all time, for me, it's Fresh Prince. Like I love that show down. It was like the first show that I saw, I think in my youth, every single episode, reruns. Like I just knew it back to back. And Will Smith at the time was just, you know, like so cool to me. Like the Black family element. It touched on so many things that made an impact on me that I thought, you know, it was my happy place.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think my favorite show is still Cosby Show.
I mean,
and I think it was also the first time I think I felt seen on camera, because I think a lot of times to that point, Black sitcoms, at least when I was coming up, of like Sanford and Son or Good Times, you certainly, and even What's Happening in certain ways, you felt the weight of economic struggle in a way that just wasn't my life growing up in View Park and Leimert Park and Windsor Hill. So like, and in real life, like Claire Huxtable, like my mother was a lawyer, my mother spoke Spanish. Like we talked about college, and like Hillman's an HBCU on the show. So like I had family that went to Howard, the AK, my mom's AK. So I felt very like, oh, I feel like a Theo. Without like, you know what I mean? Like the weight of the light staying on was not going to be an issue in the show, right? It was just like, they're just regular kids, right? And so that's where I felt seen, like, oh, this is the first time I feel like my life is reflected back to me. Right?
I 100% agree. I think I was just so young. Like, you know, I was a little baby when it hit. No lie. But like that show legitimately felt like real life to me, which is why I could not, like, I did not name it, because it just felt like I had the same thing. Like my mom wasn't a lawyer, she was a teacher, but my dad was a doctor. We were a family of 5, like a family of 7 total. And it was just like, it felt like for sure my life. But when I grew up, it was like Moesha was who I felt seen by. Yeah.
I think my favorite character, I think I have 2. One is I felt Dwayne Wayne was like, so me. Like if you could imagine the stories I tell you about me growing up, it'd be like, oh, of course Prentice is Dwayne Wayne. Of course the glasses, the trying to find himself, trying to like the girl that
is so funny. That was my first TV crush.
Really?
Like as a little girl, wrote his fan club a letter. Thirsty girl, and I got a headshot, a signed headshot back, and I
hilarious.
I think in elementary school, I had to be in like first or second grade when I wrote that letter. And my mom encouraged the
write letters. Writing letters just pays off.
You're right. I wonder if I still have that, but I loved Dwayne, and it was the glasses. Like, that was that. And
he was cool. It was cool because he was smart. Cool. He was a nerd, and I was like, oh, he's smart, and he can still, like, even though he couldn't get Lisa, he could get Whitley. And I was like, you just go like, oh, you can be cool. Like it also was a reminder, because I was like, I was funny in high school. I don't know if that's cool, but it was a reminder of like, one day I could get a girl. Like not today, but 3 years from now, when I'm in college, I would be the man.
Hey girl.
I can't get nobody now, but don't you worry, Prentice. Don't you worry, little Prentice.
Shout out to Kadeem Hardison for
giving Kadeem Hardison making Black nerds, having a perfect
800
on his math SATs.
And a different world proceeded. I think Dwayne Wade paved the way for like an Urkel character. Urkel was definitely not cool. Yeah. But also my second TV crush was Stefan Urkel, which is so stupid. So stupid. It was the same guy, but they did such a good job of transforming.
To make you believe.
But then looking back on it, I'm like, Stefan was so corny. Oh my God, the linen suits, the white, like the way he spoke, it was just, I didn't know what I want.
That's okay. That's okay. Now, but that brings up a good question, because talking about iconic people like Dwayne Wayne, Stefan Urkel, Steve Urkel, these are very iconic Black characters. You know, we always talked about that. Like, what do you think makes a good character? And when you're creating a good character, what's your process to do that?
Woo, that's great. That is a great question. And I think the biggest challenge, even in writing new pilots, like sometimes I'll imagine the world and be excited about an idea. And then when it comes to like your lead character who's driving that world, I know for me, and making that person active, that is usually the most challenging part, unless it's like based off of me or someone I know. And even then it's challenging. And a lot of times I will rewatch shows or pilots just to see like, who is the person that we're following and what stands out about them. And like those characters that we named, they weren't the leads of the show.
No, they weren't.
World started with Lisa Bonet's character, Denise, and she was defined for sure from the Cosby Show, but like sometimes other characters might overshadow and be so well defined that they overshadow your lead.
To that end, do you think, because I know when I'm writing, it always feels writing the secondary characters is certainly much more fun, right? Because they don't have to also carry the weight. Like having a Kelly, she doesn't have to carry the emotional weight of the show, right? Than Issa does. And so I know those characters always feel much more like writing a Chad or any of those kind of characters feel so much more fun because you're like, oh, they can be this voice, but they don't have to do a lot of the lifting, right? And I know sometimes even when I have to think about a main character, one thing that I do that helps me is I try to, and I just learned this like a couple years ago, and it happens to work for me, is I now try to write my lead character as if they're the side character. Ooh. And be like, oh, if they're in that character, the side character show, what voice would they be for that side character? And that sometimes helps me figure out more about them.
That's a great
because it almost frees, it allows me to be free from having to think about all of those elements and more so like, oh, if they're in that character story, what would they be? And then I can I help find it helps untether me in a certain way.
That's such a good exercise because you're right. Like those characters have such defining traits and get to be the funniest and get to be, and then you can find that balance. Because I always think even when people are like, oh, do a show about like Chad, do a show focusing on Kelly, and it's like, if we did that, you wouldn't like her. At some point, you would get tired of like, damn, this bitch don't never have it together. But like, and obviously as writers, we could make whatever that show is and it would be perfectly balanced. And Natasha's hilarious, Neil Brown Jr. are hilarious. But to your point, like carrying a show and watching them make their decisions and following their life, like would almost make them, it would take the fun out of why you love to see them every time that they pop up. And we were always cognizant of that too, of just like, let's not oversaturate like these characters so that you're constantly on board with them. But like, to be able to create someone that people want to watch week to week or binge, they have to have something very, very specific and unique, but also relatable, I would argue, where you can see yourself in why they make these particular decisions, or where they can identify like, oh, I know exactly who this person is.
Yeah. I think a good example of that, when you're just saying that, of like taking a character that's a side character and building a universe around them, is really like Jasmine Guy and Whitley Gilbert. Because Whitley in the original Different World, obviously she's just the bougie girl and she's the spoiled black girl that goes to the HBCU. And when Lisa left and she became the focal point, it's like, oh, we'll build out what is her life like, and what does she have to do with a mother who, you have to look perfect, and what does it feel like to deal with perfection? Or you've been told you're supposed to have this life versus what your life is actually looking like now, and having a Kim Reese who's like the down home, like around the way girl from Cleveland come into her life, right? And to me, that's a really good example of like a character that is just there to do like one kind of bit and gang, but what is her life like when she has to go home for the summer? And you can build a universe and a world around, a girl who's like, would never date a Dwayne is like, I find myself attracted to him now, right? And that becomes interesting because that's not who she feels she's supposed to be with.
You just blew my mind as a Different World fan. I've never thought about it from the writer's perspective of just the work that they had to do once Denise left, like I didn't even think about the fact, like in Different World is an ensemble, but Whitley's character changed so much, and she had to be this,
to carry the weight.
To carry the weight and to be this kind of person that we ultimately root for in that love story, because that was supposed to be Denise. So props to the writers and the actress for like and to Jasmine Guy for even being able to make that shift, because Whitley changed so much. She became goofer. She became someone that we loved. And of course sympathize with, because we saw where she came from because of his mom. But that's such a good exercise in like talented writers' rooms adapting.
Yeah, I love that.
I didn't get to your first TV crush. I was spilling the beans about mine, but you mentioned Whitley, but who?
My first TV, well, we got to work with her. Kim Fields.
I love that. Man. You got to be directed by your TV crush.
Tootie. Man, Tootie on them roller skates, boy, with them knee-high socks, boy, you couldn't tell. It was Tootie and it was Janet Jackson on Different Strokes.
Different Strokes.
When she played Willis's girlfriend, I was like, yo, Willis. That's when you knew Willis still was from Harlem. He was like, I know I'm in Manhattan now.
He pulled Janet Jackson? Penny? Was that Penny?
No, Penny. No. That was her on Good Times. Oh. She was like a little girl, but he was like, because they got the money. He moved in with, master drumming, and and he was always trying to go back to the hood. And Arnold was like, "What? You tripping? We good up here." And Willis was like, "Nah, I gotta keep it a buck." And then he still went down there and pulled Janet Jackson.
The way I do not even know, Arnold is the white guy?
No, Arnold was Gary Coleman.
Oh.
Arnold was the little...
Gary Coleman...
Yes.
Was...
I know I'm aging myself.
No, this is fine. Because he was playing Janet.
Not Gary Coleman.
Oh, I was going to say...
Todd Bridges.
Oh,
who
Todd
played
Bridges.
Willis.
Okay, because Gary Coleman was a lot older than we played.
Yes, he was a lot older,
young.
But he played young. But Willis was that. But I would say Tootie... Because she was also Janet Jackson a little bit. She wasn't like, I don't even know if she was on Fame yet. But again, Tootie, Kim Fields was...
I'm glad we got to make that happen for you. Did you
Facts
tell Kim? I guess that would be weird. Like
I didn't tell her. I didn't want it to be like... And I'm sure she gets that a lot. Because she was, again, talk about like the Lisa Turtle thing. She was the one black girl that was like a teen on screen. And she was like in that all white school. But man, Kim Fields was a baddie.
So Facts of Life, you wouldn't consider like a black show?
Nah, not at all.
Even though lots of black people watched it,
it was about basically all prep school with all white girls, basically. I would not make that a black show.
Okay, that's fair.
Nothing about it was like addressing black life. I don't know, would you consider The Office a black show because like Stanley's on there or Daryl's on there?
No, definitely not. But yeah, it was black friendly.
It was definitely black. It was definitely black friendly.
Black friendly. I feel like black people, would have.
But I just wouldn't call it a black show. Not a black show. No.
But speaking of Kim Fields, like we got a chance. You got a chance to be directed by her, and that was in our show within a show.
Yes,
Kev'yn, which was an homage to these '90s black sitcoms.
It was
specifically took a lot of influence from Martin.
100%. And I think I remember what was happening around that time was a lot of reboots were happening, like the Will and Grace.
That's
I think Friends. It was a lot of reboots of shows they were Frasier was coming back out again, and it was like, but nobody's rebooting us. So we was like, why don't we reboot us? And so we rebooted a show that obviously was inspired from Martin, and we got to have Bill Bellamy, Erica Alexander, who you got to work with later, Daryl Bell, obviously,
so amazing.
And me.
Yeah, you got to make your that you didn't mind. That was like you finally got to a place where you didn't mind making.
Well, I got to be like a good thing besides like a valet or a waiter. I got to like actually like be a little like what was my name? It was
you were little Kev'yn, weren't you?
No, Kev'yn was Bill. I was little something.
Little Chris.
Because there was a lot of homages that we were like, okay. And I remember we were doing, again, shout out to, we were really paying respects to all things black shows, which was like Martin when Brother Man would just come in. So it was like little Chris is always coming in through like the refrigerator. It was like, just where are these people coming from? Like, how are they coming in the room? Always like people having bits of like, why is Bill Bellamy, like, why are they dividing the apartment? Where are they getting shoulder pads from to do it? Like just black TV shows in those days would always just have like, why is the black family doing props? Like I remember the Cosby Show when they moved all the furniture out to like prove to Malcolm Jamal Warner how money works. And I was like, where are they putting this furniture? Like I remember that was my first thought as a kid. Like, where is the furniture? Why did they have to do all this to like, prove a point? And then I've done similar things with my kids.
Look at you. Look at you learning from the Cosby Show. But when I think about even just the privilege to do that and then being able to bring on talent from shows that we grew up on and respected, and then them coming to us and used to be like, thank you, that was so much fun. Like that was special.
I remember that was the last day of filming season 3, and we were filming it in one stage, and you were filming a lot of things by yourself.
Everybody was on the Kev'yn stage.
Everybody was on the Kev'yn stage because Kev'yn, it was so much fun.
What's happening about Issa? My showrunner God, he don't even know. He jumping in coffins. That's right, because I was lonely doing that last. I want to say it was maybe one of the mirror scenes, but I was like, damn, nobody here to wrap me out.
Yeah, it was a lot of like, it's like everybody's at the Kev'yn stage doing a sitcom.
I forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that unpleasant memory back.
Shout out to Kim Fields. She crushed it.
She jumped in.
She was awesome.
But did she also direct an episode for us?
No, but she was in our show the season
4. Season 4. Okay, so she made a cameo.
So if you, obviously Black family being a big part of this, is there of Black family, or if you could drop into any Black TV show?
I wouldn't be in it because I don't want to ruin my I don't want to ruin my show like that I love. But like A Different World seemed like it would be so fun to be a part of, just because y'all got like Tupac here. Y'all had Pete Gary Dordan with the locks. Like, I know they were having a good time. Okay?
Shout out to Shazza.
I know they were having a good time. And I don't think any show, period, Black, white, whatever, has done college right. Yeah. And that was the only show that I think I watched Saved by the Bell the college years. Still, no, nobody else watched that shit. But like that show, and I think that's why it's being rebooted now. And I'm so excited to see what they do with it. But it was so just iconic in terms of making people, and Black people specifically, want to go to college. And so if I could be a student on a wall or just in the writer's room, if I could be a background actor on that show, just watching like, yeah, I'm here. Like, I'm a Hillman too. I would have been happy. Yeah. What about you?
If I could drop into any show, it would be so different than my actual personality, but I would have loved to drop in and be some kind of character in Martin.
I mean, yeah. Like,
just to be like, work at the radio station, just anything. I would just be like, this dude is, like, to be there for like the Varnell Hill, and just be like when Varnell Hill showed up, and just be like, I got catfish out by the lake.
Just get all the laughs and be anticipated. Like, they literally just were I marvel at what they were able to do. My mom did not let me watch Martin when I was young. Like, that's also,
really?
I didn't get to watch Martin until like I snuck in high school, and which is good because I was I was older and got the jokes or whatever. But like that was her and my older brothers would watch that together as a family, and I felt so left out. Where me and my younger three, we would just be like upstairs hearing the laughter from downstairs.
You know what's interesting? I do think there's this thing with Black art that happens in these in moments, and I think, you know, the 80s were very much coming off of shows like, you know, Cosby. A Different World's kind of slowly starting to come to an end in the early 90s. And music is doing a certain change too, right? It's going from like rap that can feel very conscious to certainly the rock, get stuff like NWA and music like that. Just a more of aggressive form of music. There's a much, and I feel Martin was the change of Black television in a certain way, specifically kind of getting away from things feeling like there's a much more like hood element coming into Martin. It wasn't as wholesome. It wasn't, whereas like the 70s Black thing is about struggle and economic progress and a lot of political things. And the 80s is much more assimilation and like we're trying to like Blackward mobility. And then the 90s kind of come in because it's also the time of like New York Undercover. Like there's a definitely more of aggressive shift of movies, more Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society. There's a much more Black artist taking a switch, and Black television is doing that as well. So it's an interesting time. I feel like Martin is the kind of the kickoff, and New York Undercover kind of the kickoff to a different type of Black television.
A welcome kickoff. And obviously like that's when a lot of comedians started getting shows. And like when you think about Def Comedy Jam and Comic View, a lot of those the talent was being mined from those platforms, and those were raw ass platforms. So to be able to like sanitize it for network TV was a thing in of itself, and like you couldn't help but to be as a comedian yourself. And so I felt like that, you're right that ushered in kind of a new era of edginess. And Fox was also like as a network taking a chance on shows and the tonal shifts in a way that other networks weren't doing. So like they kind of also helped to usher in that era. And also like,
where do you feel what era we're in now that we're like can look back and go like, because it's like us, Atlanta, Blackish, obviously Queen Sugar.
I mean, it was a new general Black TV renaissance. I think where we fall is just this new. I feel like we're the post-Obama era of shows. Like I think that once he became president, in the same way that we witnessed once Trump became president, the network shifted to like wanting to do more shows about the Midwest, wanting to do like the working class shows. Like I think that the Obama era kind of led to our the possibility of us.
So basically, we just need more Black presidents to get more Black shows. That's basically
good luck. But I will say conversely, like because we were airing during the Trump era, and like there is a resistance. I think that once again, more Black shows are about to be coming around because there's a resistance to this administration. We're getting too political right now, but like I think that it's counterculture, right?
Yeah.
And where I think that Obama kind of opened up the floodgates because, you know, there was an excitement around the Black president. The counterculture kind of lasted post. We were part of the counterculture, or we like lasted just until the counterculture that we're
recounted
in now.
Uncountered. So one thing we talked about is obviously like there's so much how we're talking about what's happening in the world, in the landscape of that obviously can impact what art gets made for sure, right? And as we have gone into the 2000s of Black television, I think that's also coming off of the Clinton era. It's right before Bush hits, right? So there's a lot of like, a certainly thing of seeing more voices. So a lot of the shows of that time, it's like also the start. It's the like the WB, the CW. So there's a lot of new networks coming in and obviously we know the history is when a new network comes on, let's mine the underrepresented voices until we've mined it, and now we're going to transition, right? So at that time, the WB, it's Steve Harvey. It's obviously, you know, Girlfriends on UPN and Eve and Half and Half and One on One, all the 3-letter title like TV shows, right? So there's a lot of rise, and then you're seeing it in the movies too. You're seeing it like the brothers who can play that game. You're sort of seeing this sort of Black. It's almost like the way like those, if you see like the posters for like Girlfriends or those kind of shows, it's like there's a very kind of look and style of shoe
aesthetic.
Yeah, there's definitely
fashion.
Yeah.
Wind blowing in the photo shoots. Like, why are they all walking in a line like that? Why are they all?
Isn't that what Black women do? Walking a line with the wind blowing? Is that what y'all do? Isn't that Black girl magic?
Every day, every time we link up, we like, let's do the walk, girl.
We should have done a credit sequence of you and Molly and Tiffany and Kelly. What a missed opportunity to do that.
But no, I think that's an amazing point, because I also never thought about that, just because I don't know what to classify the 2000 shows as. But if it was about like, you know, that was kind of the UPN era in a way of just like that was its own genre of show. And that was kind of the last place that we were able to see Black shows, because I remember distinctly it disappearing, like, you know, and then just being like, what the fuck happened? And then reality shows took over. And that coincided with me even going to college. Like a lot of the UPN shows outside, like in the 2000s or mid 2000s, I missed because I was in school. I didn't have a TV, I didn't have cable, and I was, you know, trying to focus on that. And then I looked up when I did get my own apartment, I got a TV. I was like, what the fuck? There's nothing
on.
to watch. There's barely anything on TV. And like Girlfriends was holding it down for a really, really long time until, you know, then the writer's strike happened. Yeah,
it's funny because even just thinking about, again, all the ways Black art's coming up at that time, because it's also coming off of the late 90s, which is very much the rise of Bad Boy. All the music videos having like, we out here, all these bright colors. We like we out here flashing money. It's all the Ja Rule, it's all the Nelly. It's all this, it's a lot of Black opulence kind of happening. A lot of Black wealth being spread around. And you could kind of feel that in the shows that we were kind of making, right? There's sort of this, there's almost this Black television shows not even addressing economic things anymore. It's like, it's not even about that anymore. It's
like
just about,
what?
It's more like how we're living our lives, how we're relating to each other. It's like like Eve owning her own store in that, like the barbershops, like in Girlfriends, like Joan's a lawyer, Tony's a real estate, like the idea of that is like not even what we're discussing right now. We're kind of discussing like our humanity, our relationships to each other. And I felt like that was happening a lot in the movies, like The Brothers or Two Can Play That Game or those kind of movies. They're not talking about anything beyond like, oh, they got a BMW, they got this car. Like, it's like, there's this level of like, and again, you can see it in the music too, right? There's a lot of the music is talking about, we money, we flying here, we going off on jets. And so it's not even about Black wealth anymore. It's really just about like, we're living this sort of Black experience that's separate from that. And then we're just kind of getting into who we are as people in a different way that I think I hadn't seen a lot in terms of like, there's not like, whereas in Cosby or A Different World, there's like, there's a message we're trying to kind of say, right? And then in the edginess of those other shows, it's like, we're just being edgy and raw and unapologetically us, aggressive. And this became more of a like shining the stone a little bit more. And it's about how we present how we look. And I think that was a lot of the storylines of, I think more just about relationships. Like Girlfriend's all about relationships. Half and Half's all about two sisters. You know, All of Us is about a father and a daughter just trying to connect. It's not about whether or not our struggle, there's not really a message. It's just like, we're just trying to like be people.
You know what I'm thinking about? And I'm thinking about like why a lot of the early 2000 shows and like 2000 shows also missed me is because they felt like sometimes a remnant of the past that I'd already experienced. It almost felt like television wasn't necessarily evolving as rapidly as we saw that like
that's
turning
fair.
point
That's
like,
fair.
that you just mentioned of just like we went from family sitcoms to then, you know, comedians leading shows and then edgy comedians leading shows. And then some of the 2000s shows felt like just kind of
like retreads of stuff.
Retreads of what was successful and some were able to tread new territory and, you know, had a lot of talent and were comfort shows. But I think post writer strike, especially, which, you know, coincides with when a lot of the Black TV shows disappeared. Once television came back, it was like the landscape had changed. Now you had like, obviously HBO was already changing a lot of, changing the way that we saw television shows, like making them more cinematic and, you know, that would be post Sopranos and Sex and the City. And so network television was also feeling like, oh, you're behind.
That's a great point. Yeah.
And I think once again, when we were able to emerge in other shows, like even like Being Mary Jane came post that, and it was just like, okay, this is a new way to tell Black stories, and it's opening the door for, again, shows like Us and Atlanta and Queen Sugar and all these other shows that came around that time to exist. But television evolved into kind of a more prestige medium.
Well, because that was also a time too where like movies and TVs were totally separate, right? And reality show is kind of its own, kind of like you're doing reality shows. But at the time, and again, like it's like you would do television as an actor a lot of times to launch hopefully a movie career, right? That was always the thing, right? And so TV was always kind of like the little brother to movies, right? And what you were seeing, I think at that point was, oh, television doesn't have to look in the way that we know it. It can be its own thing. And I think to your point, like shows like Soprano and Sex and the City and The Wire said, oh, television can do this.
Yeah. And I think like the middle point that we just mentioned was reality television. So when you're thinking about how these shows were kind of formulaic and you kind of understood what you were sitting down to watch at the end of the day with sitcoms, I think post-writers strike and the advent of like reality television and shows that featured Black people, like the Flavor of Loves and I Love You New Yorks and America's Next Top Model, like those shows were almost super jarring, and they came off of the heels of like these shows that like took the format of sitcoms but made them super raw and were jarring because these were like real people, and it was just like, this is crazy to watch. And now my expectations of what I'm seeing on TV, like if reality can do this, why am I watching a sitcom?
Right.
Because like this is wild. And so TV had no choice. Scripted TV had no choice but to step up its game to kind of meet the shock value of reality TV.
And I remember when I was on Girlfriends and the merger happened between CW and UPN, and everybody was, all my like Black friends on other writer shows were like, everybody's freaking out because it's like, we all not gonna make it.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember Mara called us in the room and she was like, we're safe. I had a friend on, I think it was All of Us. He was like,
damn.
Nah. And the other one, which Dwayne Martin and Elisa Ray, he was like, nah, we're not gonna make it. And I just remember being like, that felt real because now I'm working in the business, and it's like seeing all the shows from our 2000s kind of just start being sniped out.
But I mean, like even hearing you say that is like a gut punch because we just experienced that again. Like post another writer strike, post COVID, post the anti-woke movement, like knowing that Black shows were going to disappear. I was super vocal about that just in interviews when that writer strike happened, was just like, we're the first to go.
Yeah.
Whenever something traumatic happens to Hollywood, then, you know, what is it? White America catches a cold, Black America gets the flu. It was like that in the TV space. And we're still recovering from that. And I know we're talking about television shows, but like, has there ever been a Black film renaissance movement post that of the 90s? Like, I don't think like a man ushered in a couple of shows like a couple of movies like Jump in the Broom and all these kind of ensemble movies where like Black people do go. But we haven't had like a Love Jones, Jason Lyric, like all the black.
No, I don't think that. I think we are making more things in streaming now, so I think it's a little harder to say, like, because back in the movies, you're like, this is coming out, that's coming out, that's coming out. I think it's hard to know now with like so many things being made on so many different ways, but I don't feel that way. I think like, that's why I think when moments like Black Panther happen or Sinners happens, it feels so much more iconic because you're like, this doesn't happen. You know, we're not going to get like 5 of these this year. So
yeah, and that's also more of a movie industry is dying thing. Like in some ways, I feel like TV is a microcosm of, or maybe now film is a microcosm of television, the television space, because it is hard to get eyeballs. And so they're like, we're not wasting money on a little Black movie to lose millions and millions of dollars. So that is kind of what it feels like.
Now, speaking of the shows that RIP, they're no longer with us in the 2000s, do you have a Mount Rushmore of shows that you were like, I fuck with these shows?
I would have to say my 2000s Mount Rushmore is more reality shows.
Okay.
So you go.
All right, I'll do mine and you do your reality show.
Okay.
Mount Rushmore. So I'm going to do a combination of movies, Black TV, but I'm going to throw one movie in there. Okay. Can I do that?
You're cheating a little bit. But...
Okay. Okay. Well, first, I'm going to definitely throw Girlfriends in there.
Yep.
Because I worked on the show. But I remember when Girlfriends was premiering in 2000. And I remember my wife, which we were dating at the time, was like, I want to watch this new show. It's about 4 Black women. And you got to remember at the time of this, Waiting to Exhale had come out, Disappearing Act had come out. So there's a lot of like...
Terry McMillan was
a lot of Black men taking lumps. And I was like, I ain't trying to watch a show about 4 Black women complaining about niggas ain't doing it. I was like, I don't want to watch this show. She was like, just watch one episode. And I remember watching it being like, this is really good. And then I just started watching it. My wife was watching it. We were watching it together, but I was like, oh, this is really well written. It's funny. It's not at all what I thought it was going to be. And so I was just like, and then obviously becoming a fan of the show, and then working on the show, and then watching that show transition and being a part of that to me is just great. There's so many things that we were able to do come from that show and are certainly inspired by. So Girlfriends definitely goes on that Mount Rushmore. I'm going to definitely put Bernie Mac on that thing. One, I just thought it was so smartly written by Larry. I remember seeing the first time I remember like a guy talking to camera. And I was like, this is a fun device. And the way they would use graphics. And obviously it's coming off of him doing Kings of Comedy and that story. And so you're watching that story that was such a great performance of this thing in a show, and it felt super Black to me. Like I was like, oh, this is Black. And so just that to me, I was just like, I just love this, and seeing a strong Black man, and Bernie's so funny. So I put Bernie Mac up there. The Wire to me was just like, I was just like this. And I remember I did not want to like The Wire because I was like, really, we got to do a show about this, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, oh, this is doing something else. And I was just like, this is just so incredible. So I was like that. And then my favorite 2000s, Chappelle Show.
Without a doubt.
I mean, it's just like, I remember everybody, I don't know if everybody does it. I remember where I was when Rick James skit came out. I remember I was in my wife and I owned a duplex. I was on the phone with one of my best friends, JD, and we were laughing so hard. I remember I was laughing so hard. I was on the floor. You know, like when your stomach cramps, you're like, I can't even listen to no more. I can't, if I'm listening, I'm almost like I got like appendicitis. I'm laughing. I had never seen anything like that. And I was like, so Chappelle, and obviously seeing what that is now and all the things, I just remember we were at Rick James. I was like, I don't know what is happening right now, but this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I just rewatched that like a couple of weeks ago, and it still holds. And then I just watched I watched the Prince of it. I just watched all of Charlie Murphy's reenactments. What a gift. That's a solid...
fun story about that. They didn't want that to be in the show. The network was like, we don't get how this is funny. Can you imagine?
What?
Can you imagine a world where they were like, Donnell Rawlings was talking about, he said they did not want them to do it because it was going to be, because remember the Rick James thing was almost like half the episode. So they're like, you can't do a whole skit where it's like half the episode is just one bit. And they were like, yeah, we are. And shout out to Neil Brennan and Dave and those guys for believing in that.
Absolutely right.
Can you imagine a world where there's no Rick James, bitch?
No.
I wouldn't want to live in that world. That's a cold world.
That was a solid list. That was a good 2000s list. I don't think anybody can argue with that. You didn't even have to put a movie on there. So
I did. You're right. I appreciate you pushing me.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm here for.
Okay. So for your reality show, 2000s, Mount Rushmore, who you got?
Even though it's come out as very problematic, don't give a flying fuck because it was good TV. America's Next Top Model. I think as a reality competition show, it was very well done. It was extremely far-fetched. No models need to really do this.
Well, I asked a question. Had there been a reality competition show besides I don't really remember that being
American Idol was big, and even in Tyra talking about it, there was American Idol. There was it was more game shows.
Yeah,
and I remember we had a huge game show renaissance, but no, that. No, they were innovative at the time. I would say I Love New York and no, I'm sorry. Before I Love New York, I would say number 2 is Flavor of Love. Flavor of Love. I was so resistant to that show. I was so disgusted by that show. And
what disgusted you about the show? Just competing for Flavor Flav, or just? Sure. Flavor of Love.
Season 2 was actually my villain origin story. That's why I was like,
season 2 was Delicious.
Season 2 Delicious was on there
because first was New York and Hoops.
Pumpkin
Who shit on the thing.
No, that was season 2.
Was that season 2? The
Something.
shit. Something
was her name.
That's right. Pumpkin was the white girl.
Pumpkin was the white girl who got fucked up, rightfully so.
When she spit on.
Yeah, a fucking nasty bitch.
Black TV Canon.
Black TV Canon. Honestly, New York. Just we watch the stars more. And I could not deny the pull of that show. But season 2 was my origin story because
what's the origin story?
It was seeing how producers again, there are no Black women on TV beyond Flavor of Love cast at this point. And they would not let. So the story is, during the whatever his rose ceremony was, which was I think giving them clocks, to choose.
I forgot they used to do that. Giving them clocks.
After giving them a terrible nickname, there was a woman named Something who was I really have to go to the bathroom, and the producers wouldn't let her go. Right. And so it's a long ceremony when you're filming it. Yeah. And so she was like, I really gotta go. They were like, no, you have to just wait. And then she ended up shitting on the floor. And then they aired it. And then she still got a clock after she shat on the floor. And I was like, damn, this is they humiliated this woman. They made this shit happen. She's a Black woman. Why is this show exist? Why does this show exist? And I still watched episode to episode, but I was like, this is the only representation of Black women globally. And I was just like, you know what?
I gotta write a show.
Let me write some shit.
Just not shit on the floor.
The bare minimum is having a Black woman not shit on the floor. So it was it was kind of built to humiliate us.
But then you wrote where Kelly pees herself.
That was different.
In public. Full circle moment, guys. Stick with what's funny.
That was not my idea, but I laughed like shit when I heard it. That was.
But also, shout out to. I'm gonna let you go to your list, and I'll add something.
No, please. Go.
No, I was gonna say, but you see the remnants of that now, even with Drewski. Right, Drewski's Love Show, which is naming them funny names. I mean, it's that, right? It is that, and I think it's seeing how we keep inspiring each other. I'm being actually for real.
No, I'm that's true, and I love watching that show.
Yeah, I love it,
but it's also because it's not the only thing that exists.
No, of course, not the only representation of Black women. Well, it might be right now because there's not a lot of Black shows out there. Okay, that's 2.
The next is, the spinoff of that, which is I Love New York.
Sure.
Where New York got her own show, and you got to see men be put through a humiliation ritual to get New York's love, and she just really embodied being an amazing reality television star. Yeah. The 4th one is gonna be hard because I don't think Housewives did that. Did Housewives start in the 2000s?
It did start in 2000s.
Real Housewives of Atlanta, you cannot you just can't not include it when you think about just the canon of Black reality television, because it's just. everyone aspires to them. It's meme culture. Nene has been memed a bajillion times. I feel like that like ushered us into the influence of the Black reality star in that era.
Cherie, who gonna check me, boo?
Yeah, okay. She by Sheree, spring, summer, fall.
Candy.
Oh, without a doubt. You know what? When we record these, it's actually really hot in here.
It does get hot.
And my mouth gets all dry, and I feel like I need some like hydration.
So what do you suggest?
I suggest some Gatorade Lower Sugar because Gatorade Lower Sugar hydrates better than water.
Oh, well, there's no artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners.
Yeah, and it has 75% less sugar and all the electrolytes in regular Gatorade.
Well, purchase your own Gatorade Lower Sugar today.
So as always, you know we can't get out of here without hearing from you. So we're going to get to your fan questions presented by Gatorade Lower Sugar.
Now, we love how nosy and extra y'all are. So who do we have up first?
Okay, so I have from Angela Lawrence, 8587 on YouTube. In developing Insecure and writing future episodes, who was your targeted audience? I asked because I was 45 when Insecure aired, and I never felt like the show only spoke to millennials. I resonated with Issa in so many ways. Thank you, Angela, for that. We didn't have a target audience beyond like Black women. Yeah. Whenever I write something, I'm always thinking about my immediate family and friends. Like, are they gonna like this? Are they gonna think this is funny? But would you agree that like we were kind of just writing from the space of these women and trying to tell the truth?
Yeah, I think we were writing from that space. And I think if you're, I mean, again, I wasn't obviously the age of Issa, but I think, I mean, obviously I had been the age of Issa. And I think if you're, had gone through that age of your life, that there's so many things that you're like, I remember me when I was like this. And I think there are so many things in our show that's about a coming of age story for sure, right? And so if you're of that age, then you obviously have done those, you've gone through those phases. And also like, I think having to deal with crazy white people at work is evergreen. Having to be Black in America is evergreen, right? So there's so many things. Having relationships is evergreen. So I think there were so many things we were talking about that weren't about the age you're at. It was just like, this is just a life thing of being in the world. And so I think there are so many things about, you know, friendships with you and Molly, friendships with you in the larger group, falling in love, all the things, right? So I think the show is doing a lot of things that I think aren't necessarily age or generational specific. It's just like being a human being.
I completely agree.
Another YouTuber user, Jane_Ice, that's a tight ass name, asks, how come we never get the story of how Issa and Lawrence met?
Oh, that's so funny. I feel like no, I don't know that we talked about it in the room. We always talked about maybe doing a flashback episode. Yeah. We toyed with the idea of like, we should see Issa and Molly back then, and we never did it. Because some of our most fun episodes that we would do in like the blue sky of it, we'd always have, and then we'd create the arc of the season and it wouldn't fit in it. We were like, oh, we can't do the R. Kelly episode because it doesn't make sense. And we only have 8 episodes or whatever it is. So we never got the story just because like it wasn't relevant to the story that we were trying to tell as a season. We had a condensed timeline to do so.
Why don't you tell Jane_Ice how they met? Lawrence, how they met?
They met. We talked about they met in like college adjacent, like right after college.
Right after college, say,
yeah. Which is how Lawrence knew Issa's friends and vice versa, but. Yeah, I think that they met at a time when Lawrence was obviously on the brink of working in tech and was talking about starting his own company, and she was kind of just in the nonprofit space.
Are we saying Lawrence is from LA?
No, he's not from LA.
He's not from LA, right?
I think we made him from. No,
I know we say he went to Georgetown, but I don't know if we say he's from DC. He doesn't feel of DC.
No, he's not. I can't remember what we said. I don't want to say in the parents episode we might have established it, but no, he's definitely not from LA. And I think he was out here for work. And
I think in the tech space from Georgetown. Yeah.
But don't hold us to any of this because we might change it.
Well, thanks y'all for sending in your questions, and please, as always, keep them coming.
To find exclusive Block Party content and to submit questions to be read live on the show, follow @HOORAE Media and subscribe to us on YouTube.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Block Party.
We'll see you next week at the party.